Good day, folks, and welcome to the Shark Cage BlackFin's podcast series. My name is Keith Kemp, President and CEO at BlackFin. I will be your host today. To start, I want to thank our sponsors. A real special shout out to all of BlackFin's preferred partners, Mortgage Flex, iEmergent, Cloudvirga, Take 3 Technologies, Lending Pad, Prudent AI, and our most recent and exciting preferred partner, Finastra, and so many more. All these firms doing extremely great things for the mortgage and lending industry today. If you don't know about them, I encourage you to check them out. Okay, so let's get started here. Today, I'm really excited to have in the Shark Cage one of BlackFin's preferred partners, Jessica Evett, VP of Product, Software, and Development at Cloudvirga. Welcome, Jessica. It's great to have you here today.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
Cool. We're going to have some fun. But before we get going, let me formally introduce you, Jessica, by sharing a little bit about your background. Kind of shows you kind of know what you're talking about when it comes to product and in this space. Folks, as I said, Jessica is the VP of Product Software and Development at Cloudvirga. Jessica has an extensive career in product development, project management, and services in the banking and mortgage banking space. It goes back a good 20 plus years. Most notably going back to her time as a project manager and senior IT project manager at Saxon. I remember the old Saxon days, no doubt. Prior to that, she served as Vice President of Business Solutions Technology at Bank of America. And another key career highlight was her role as VP of Servicing Project Management Office at NationStar, now in charge of product development at Cloudvirga. She is actively listening to her existing and new customers very, very closely to really understand not only what do they want and need now, but is really strategizing around where the puck is going, to use that Wayne Gretzky analogy, if I may. But from a customer experience standpoint, where is the puck going? Which is why I believe Cloudvirga continues to deliver a leading technology ecosystem for lenders. That basically helps stop the customer shop fast. And that's the key, right? In origination. As a former originator, Jessica, I love that focus at Cloudvirga and what you're doing from a product development standpoint. So it's great to have you. You're ready to jump in. I promise not to bite, maybe challenge you a little, but we should have some fun while doing it. Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely. Love talking
Cool.
about this. As you mentioned, I've been doing this a long time and, I have a lot of enthusiasm and excitement about where we're going. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, I know our listeners are absolutely going to appreciate your perspective and key insights and some guidance that they need. Jessica, I know in 2023, you spent a lot of time on the road talking to clients, attending conferences, discussing lender needs as it relates to a seamless world-class borrower experience. Again, you guys just take an amazing measured approach to not just developing to develop and say, look at us, look at what we did. You're really trying to make sure that you're helping lenders with where they're struggling the most with when it comes to the point of sale or customer experience. So there's a lot of options in the marketplace. What are the core competencies? A lot of technology options. Expand on that, point a little bit more. A lot of technology options out there in the marketplace today. A lot of systems that call themselves a point of sale. Kind of find out they're more one-dimensional than three-dimensional, and they're still bringing value, but there can be a lot of misconceptions. I remember a lender who was asking me for I'm looking at these 3 different doc companies, and I kind of laughed because one of them wasn't even a doc company. I was like, wow, they picked up on some marketing that said that they were a marketing company or a particular software, a doc software. And it can get really confusing out there with all these different options out there. So when somebody's looking for technology, what are the core competencies that they need to be looking for in a software partner and starting to decide on a new technology? What are those core competencies that really separate the mythical, vaporware software out there from the actual, value add business models and software partners and providers out there?
Sure. I think, when it comes to what you're looking for in a provider, I think it's what's their actual experience level in the sector that you're talking about, right? So, do they have any business background? Are they purely a technology firm? Is that okay with you? What are you really looking for there? Because I think a solid blend of business and tech is the most valuable partnership I think that you can engage with. It's difficult when you're leveraging a technology and they have no basis for understanding your business. It doesn't necessarily seem like it would be important, but it is in the context of how they actually engage and develop and implement what it is that you're asking for. If they have a better knowledge set than just your average tech person or tech firm, I think that's certainly beneficial. It does matter if they have experience, building in the languages or the paradigm that you're focused on, right? So you wouldn't, if you're as a lender really focused on your borrower experience, you wouldn't necessarily want to engage with a firm that is traditionally doing back end work, right?
Mm.
So I think it's, does their experience align with the direction you're trying to take your own organization? And then I
Sure.
think it's just a partnership. We've talked about that a lot through this conversation, but I really think it is crucial when you think about a partner. If you're going in and engaging with a tech solution, I think it's important that you understand how they are structured from a financial perspective. Meaning, if I'm engaging with the lender provider, I'm trying to understand what they're trying to get out of the engagement, right?
Hmm. Yep.
So there's licensed software, meaning you're purchasing the software as it is. You get the benefit of updates to that software when there is a new release, and it's likely built into your ongoing, end user licensing agreement. In those type of arrangements, your ability to customize is generally limited to whatever customization is already built, right?
Yeah.
So you can't necessarily go to a, behemoth provider and say, hey, I want to do this net new, completely different thing than your product offers today. That's the, okay, we'll get in line, we'll evaluate if we want to do it, but you may or may not be big enough for me to be interested in doing that for you. Versus, a consultant firm that doesn't necessarily build anything, but they'll give you some insights on what you should do. Um, and then there's, the idea of a software as a service concept, right? Where it's to some blend of, you're buying a product from me, but you're also sort of leveraging my resources.
Hmm.
There's also purely volume based, which kind of starts to tick back into more of a licensing style agreement. So if you're just interested in an off the shelf, there are definitely providers for that. And the more established ones are going to be closer to what you're looking for if you just want off the shelf, right?
Yeah.
But if you're looking for, I want to go big, I want a partner that's going to go on the journey with me, that's going to help me build out what I'm looking for, obviously within reason, of course, then you're looking for more of a partner that's focused on, journey mapping with you, customizing with you, willing to make adjustments to their platform, right? Because there are definitely providers out there where, look, this is the platform, this is what you're buying. We have our own roadmap, it's independent from you. You get it as part of licensing my solution, but I'm not really entertaining your ideas.
Mm.
So it's kind of where you are in your journey as a lender as to which provider you're really looking for. But I think if you're looking for that partnership, if you're looking to be market competitive, if you're looking to expand beyond just, okay, I'm going to trade out one point of sale for another, then competency wise, that's where all of those other things come in. I want somebody that has business expertise. I want somebody that has a opinion and a frame of reference and experience on what a good digital strategy would look like in this sector or this space. I think oftentimes it's viewed as, I'm buying a product and that's it. And then when you actually start to really engage, it's clear it's not just a product. It's, oh, well, I actually want to change it. I want to do something different. I'm looking for, a different type of engagement with you. So you really have to make sure that when you're having those due diligence conversations, you're doing those RFIs, those RFPs, whatever your structure is, you're really understanding from a competency competency are these the kind of people that are going to go on the journey with me, or are they the kind of people that are just going to license me a piece of software? And both
And
things have
so,
their place. One isn't
yeah.
necessarily better than the other. It really depends on the structure of your organization and what you're looking for.
So you're just highlighting some really key points there. I mean, I love what you're accentuating there by saying, before you look at the core competencies that you're looking for in a vendor partner, first you need to define what you want
Mhm.
out of a vendor partner.
Right.
And once you define what you want and what you have the capacity to be able to help design, build, and implement, and then manage and nurture the system, depending on whether that's part of that's internal and then part of that's external, you know, how you're going to approach this implementation. Do you just want to buy something off the shelf and then you're going to run with it on your own? You first got to determine your own competencies, capabilities, and your own goals and your own objectives of what you want long term, short term, and long term out of the software. So first you have to know yourself, right? We hear that terminology a lot in recent years. Know yourself, and then start to ask the right questions to and validate that they have the core competencies to meet you and deliver what you're looking for. Uh, did I summarize that okay?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's, back to that whole what does success look like? I think it's what are we really reasonably willing to manage on our own at the completion of this initial implementation? Are we hoping to sort of outsource it and farm it out? Are we hoping that there's enough configurability that we manage it internally? Are we not really sure what we want and we're looking for more of a collaborative engagement? Those kinds of things are really crucial for any provider, whether it's point of sale or LOS or any other potential technology solution you can think of, because it sets the tone the right way, right? You
Mhm.
might have a provider that self-selects out and says, that's not really our business model. Or it is, but it's a different pricing structure. And is that, what you're looking for, right? Because our, consultants or our gold partners or whatever the case may be might be more expensive than what you're looking for. So having that dialogue and finding the right, it's like, the Goldilocks principle, right? Which solution is just right, I think it is really key. But it is a lot of thinking through your own expectations and what you're hoping to get out of an engagement to make sure that you found the right, partner and solution for
Yeah.
you. Because again, everything is out of the box in theory, but the reality of what you're looking for likely isn't. And so it's really sort of understanding how much you're willing to invest from your own time, or if you're like, I'll take an 80% solution and I'll deal with the 20% in the LOS. I mean, those are all things that are reasonable and make sense. I think it's really just what you're looking for.
It's a great idea. Great point. I'm just reminded in your comments there of Andrew Weiss, who runs our technology consulting practice. He always says, hey, listen, as we're consulting lenders on their new tech stacks or technology vendors and partners that they're considering selecting, we have to remind them not every vendor is right for every lender, and not every lender is right for every vendor. I mean,
That's right.
it's a very careful, methodical conversation to make sure we're making the right decision. Now, where this can't, and I'm empathetic to lenders because you'll go in and we had this in one instance, client that I was basically restructuring their entire lending strategy and structure over a good 2-3 year period of time, and then designing and building and implementing the technology. We made the decision to go with a particular partner vendor because they were an amazing partner. They really were authentic. They were absolutely committed to the success of my client. They're committed to, we're going to be here long term to support you in your strategy structure, your evolution as an organization, get you through phase one to get you live, and then phase two to, with the goals and objectives that we have in phase two, et cetera. It was fantastic out the gate. But unfortunately, and this can happen, so I'm certainly open to any words of wisdom that you have on this unfortunate situation, but the corporation that owned that particular, division of software committed to the mortgage banking industry, they changed their entire philosophical approach to supporting mortgage banking. And that had a downstream impact. They're basically pulling out of the US market and saying, hey, listen, we'll support whoever's there, but we're really not going to operate as a partner to support their success anymore. They've got to tell us what they want and then we'll fill the order. And it just became this true, transactional relationship. And they were, a couple $1 million already into the actual implementation. So, I mean, sometimes you get thrown for a loop when a vendor is owned by a bigger conglomerate, and the 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 vendor owner, the conglomerate owner just says we're not going to be as committed to the mortgage space. I mean, how do you handle that kind of, challenge? I mean, what's a lender to do? Or they have to, okay, that's the commitment, that's the formal, communication. Then we need to have we need to re-engineer some infrastructure in order to shore up that missing piece. I mean, in this instance, we basically said you got to create a separate group that really is a more attentive internal servicing group that listens to your needs, like the vendor was going to, and then they would order up the services that are needed by the vendor who's less engaged at this point. So it became a specialized, IT support group for the mortgage team. So that was our recommendation to counter that change in philosophical approach by the vendor. So any thoughts around that or ideas
Yeah.
around how to respond?
Well, I think it starts in that same discovery conversation, right? When you're looking at your vendor partners, when you're thinking about what you're looking for from a, risk perspective, it's an engagement, it's a contract, we're tethering ourselves to each other. The discovery should drive your contract to some degree. Obviously there's MSAs, they have fairly standard terms. I think when you think about an engagement, everyone sort of has a standard format or boilerplate document, but you really need to spend the time negotiating and adjusting those things based on what it is that you expect from your engagement, right? Because ideally,
Yeah.
what you would do is you'd negotiate that deal with some sort of SLAs, metrics, something of that nature to say, okay, if you are my development arm, or I have an expectation from you for my core business, then we actually have some sort of agreement about the level of service you're providing me. I think you need the appropriate exit ramps, right? I mean, Cloudvirga is very transparent in our approach with our lenders, right? You can kind of go at any time if you feel like it's appropriate for you, and vice versa, right? If we kind of come to a mutual agreement, then we can make those decisions. But you want a partner that is willing to have that dialogue with you in those initial structuring conversations, right? If we're going in it where we're leveraging you almost as a managed service, then that means I have an expectation from you in terms of the level of service I'm receiving. And then if you don't provide that, then that's a whole different dialogue, and that starts to help protect you from the possibility that someone kind of pivots in a completely different direction. I think, the other thing is when you're engaging with firms, what is their position? Are they more of a fintech individual solution? Are they part of a larger organization? Is that organization a amalgamation of many different things, right? You have a lot of, large investment type companies like BlackRock and, other organizations like that that have a substantial number of diverse components of their portfolio. So are they vested in the industry that I'm in? Are they not? Is there a possibility of this risk? I think it again then goes back to who's really running the organization that you're looking to engage with. Are these mortgage people? Are they industry people? Like, what's
Uh,
their track record in this particular space? I mean, obviously, there are a lot of solutions that are industry agnostic and they have their
yeah.
place. But for something that core to your environment, in that use case that you described, I think it's really key to set up your um, engagement for success. What am I looking for from you? What are you providing to me? How am I ensuring that I'm getting that from you? And establishing those things as parameters of the engagement so that there can be that dialogue or that conversation that says, hey, look, we're just kind of fundamentally divesting from this, so now's your out, as opposed to we're divesting and oh, by the way, you're kind of stuck with us.
Yeah. Oh, it's great points, Jessica. And it really does come full circle back to those core competencies of communication, transparency, making sure you're asking all the right questions, making sure all the
Right.
I's are dotted and T's are crossed when selecting that new technology partner to support your organization, just so that you can have all those subsequent, events in mind and have plan A and B and C in place, so that as the world turns, because it does
Right.
during the course of a relationship with a vendor partner, that you're ready and can remain in control of your customer experience. Ultimately, was what part of what I was hearing you say. So
Yeah.
great advice, great wisdom. All right, Jessica, thank you so much for being with us today and joining me in the Shark Cage. This has been a tremendous discussion on the key topics, ensuring that a lender's technology ecosystem is most focused on the need for a greater borrower experience and what to look for in a technology partner like a Cloudvirga. Folks, don't hesitate to learn more about how Cloudvirga is helping lenders by going to their website, www.cloudvirga.com, and reaching out to Jessica and Maria and their team. Until next time, this has been another exciting episode in the Shark Cage. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
To find out more about the show or the information provided in this episode, visit BlackFin Group online at www.blackfin-group.com.